Your Help presents Stress-Free Living with Ray Samich and Mr. Stress-Free, Ratanjit S. Sandhi. This audio program is an unscripted and unrehearsed conversation between Ray and Ratanjit. It is shared with you in hope of adding value to your life. We encourage you to listen to this program in its entirety to receive the full impact of its message. Sit back, relax, open your heart, mind, and soul to this edition of Stress-Free Living.
Welcome to Stress-Free Living. I'm Ray Samich, and I'd like to welcome you to our program today. In a moment, we'll be joined by Ratanjit Sandhi. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we will be talking about making decisions matter. But before we do that, I want to let you know that we did have technical difficulties at the beginning of today's show, which is why you're hearing me but not seeing me. Before we began recording, we were talking about how many decisions are in our lives and how many times we make decisions every day without even thinking about it. Maybe many of them are small ones that we just make through habits without even thinking twice. But every day we also make a lot of decisions that do have consequences, whether they're for us or for those around us, maybe even for people that we don't know. That's how I started the show today, with some general thoughts, and then we turned it over to Ratanjit. Enjoy the show.
All life unfolds in front of us based on the decision we have made. So our life is a consequence of the decision we make, and then also the decision made by others. We pay price for the decision made by others. So in this society, everyone's decision affects everybody else. Now, to understand this decision-making process, let's go to fundamental. See, our human body has to make every split second a decision. Because when somebody walks in, body has to decide whether that causes any danger, or so the body system or human system has to assess whether this is a friendly person or what is the purpose of that person. Wherever we go in the new environment, you have to make a decision whether it is safe for me to walk in that environment, or it is going to cause any danger. When I eat something, depends on the taste. If it's not familiar, then I spit out, or if it is bitter, or if it is not right. So all these decisions are based on the fundamental need for the human body to survive.
But don't you think, Ratanjit, that if we really if we took the time to count all the decisions that we make every day, most of them are made on autopilot. Most of those decisions that we make are perhaps based on prior situations where we made that same decision. So
Yes.
that evaluation is done by habit. The evaluation is done almost by instinct. So we make a decision without even thinking about most of the decisions we make.
Yes. See, some of these decisions which we constantly repeat, our brain, there is a portion in our brain, it's called basal ganglion. So it converts that continuous activity into a habit. So it makes our brain more efficient. So the rest of the brain, which can use for creative thinking. So anything we repeat constantly gets converted into habit. So we will make some decision based on our habits, but we don't realize how these habits are formed. They are formed initially somehow based and directed and guided by our need of the body, by our fear of the body, by our requirement of how I feel and how should I feel. So all that guides these initial decisions.
See, and I think that is such a critical point, because as I was thinking a little bit this morning about this topic, I said if we do make if we do make decisions based on habits, if we have a bad habit that creates that decision initially, and then we continue to make that same decision based on that same bad habit,
Yes.
we now are pretty much guaranteeing that a lot of our decisions we make in life are on autopilot, taking us in the wrong direction.
Yes.
Okay, because it's almost like that first time. I think you and I have done shows on like stealing, and you pointed out that whether you steal a penny or $1 billion, you're still stealing.
Yes.
And even if you say, I will steal $1 billion if I have a chance to do it, I will do it, then in effect, you're still already in the mindset of a thief.
Yes.
Because you just haven't had the opportunity to do it, but you would definitely do it.
Right.
And so it's that same idea here. If you really decide that you're going to do something wrong, and you get into the habit of doing it, then it's going to change your life in a very adverse way, and you're not even going to realize that you've made that kind of a wrong decision once that impacted your life that way. It's a very powerful way of saying every decision does matter.
Yes. Because everything we face in life is a consequence, or success, or happiness, or relationship, or health. They're all consequence of the decision we make. And if all those decisions are made based on or satisfying or quick need of our five senses, what tastes good decides what food I eat, rather than the food which is good for my body, then I have to pay the consequence of eating delicious meal, which is sometimes not good for your body. So if I speak harshly with you based on my initial requirement to feel good that I'm a superior person than you are, then I must face the consequence of having very poor relationship with you. So all these things, if they are guided by our five senses, and they impart in us fear, they impart in us greed, they impart in us jealousy, they impart in us possessions and greed and ego. So we don't realize that many of these decisions in life we have made knowingly or unknowingly, we have made based on these things.
I want to throw, as we're introducing this topic, though, and where we're going to go today, I want to throw out a little different perspective. And you're usually the guy that does this, but I was thinking about this topic this morning, and I think there may be people that are listening to the show that says, you know what, after 30, 40, 50, 70, 80 years of making decisions, I realized that I will live with whatever decisions I make. Even when I've made bad decisions in life, I've overcome them. I've still been able to live. Those bad decisions, they may have been temporary setbacks, but you can overcome them. And so I also want to put that in the discussion here today, because isn't it part of our humanity that we will make bad decisions and give us opportunities to overcome those bad decisions and those challenges? Isn't there joy to be even found in the fact that we are resilient and we are capable of overcoming problems and bad decisions? So in terms of stress-free living, which the show is, should we be as worried about decisions we make? Or should we just say, whatever happens, happens. I will adapt accordingly, and I'll get on with life, and everything will be okay.
Well, you see, when you are young, you can get away with abusing your body, eating the wrong food, doing the wrong exercise, because body has its own correction system. But as you age, and you pay the consequence eventually at your older age. So whatever you have done in your youth, your old age reflects that. If you have been eating wrong food and you have gotten away with it, then eventually it catches up with you. If you have been very aggressive, you have been using the wrong language. Initially, maybe if you are a boss in a company, people tolerated you. But when you retired, you don't have any friends left because of the consequences. And the same thing, when you at a time make this decision to have a quick sense of joy or pleasure, whether it's food or feeling better than others by insulting somebody, or feeling better than others by actually working on your ego, allowing your ego to come through. As a consequence of that, we pay a very heavy penalty. And ultimately, Ray, not only you don't have other people to think good about you, you yourself do not think very highly about yourself. That is where the greatest tragedy happens, because our self-worth is coming from what your inner conscience think about you. You can fool the entire world, but you can never fool yourself. As a consequence of that, you end up feeling depressed. You end up feeling lonely. You end up feeling basically left out. And then you end up blaming the whole world for that. Look at how my friends have abandoned me. Look at my family has abandoned me. Look, all this I have done for these people have abandoned me. But ultimately, it is all our own reflection of our own decisions made based on our temporary pleasure of feeling better, showing our ego, showing our superiority. So that is the consequence of all that.
You know, it's interesting. It's an excellent answer. Thank you. And you talked at first about physical decisions we make when we're young. And everybody can identify with that. What we do when we're in our teen years and our 20 years, we really can recover from that. If we stayed up all night, you know, we go to sleep the next night and we're fully recovered from the fact that we didn't sleep one particular night. You try to do that when you're in your 50s or 60s or older, and you're probably changed your body now for a week until it can recover. It's the very nature of our physical being. But let's take that to what you ended up with, and that is the mental anguish, the mental effects, the emotional effects, both on others over time and on yourself over time. And that's probably the greater example of a problem, because maybe when we're young, we can get away with the fact that, well, there's millions, hundreds of millions of people in the country. And so if I lose a couple of friends, no problem. I've got plenty of others. If this job doesn't go well, no problem, because I'll get another job. But as we get older, we realize that every relationship is important, and every opportunity that we have in the workforce with our friends, with our families, is vital. And I think that the decisions there that we make as we get older and as we have lost some relationships, we realize how really important those are, that we do the best that we can to nurture every relationship, not end them. You know, it seems, I think your words were very, very, very wise. When we're young, we don't realize how important the decision process is, not only on our bodies, but on our hearts and our minds and our souls. Because we take things for granted, we take things loosely. We have all the time in the world to do it right. We don't have to worry about doing it right when we're young. But if we don't do it right when we're young, the inevitable problems will come from that as well.
Yeah, I think how do we get here? How did we get here is a fundamental question we want to talk about once you take a break.
I think so. I think we're back on track here. I do apologize again for the delay for starting today's show. If you were with us from the beginning, we apologize for that. We're back on track. Everything is functional. Technical issues are working, and we will take a short break and be back in just a moment. This is Stress-Free Living. We're talking today about making decisions matter. We'll be right back. All right. Apologies to everybody there. So glad that we didn't lose you. My first thought was that we lost the entire group, but as soon as I was able to get back in, you were all there waiting for me. So thank you for that. If there's anybody, we have just about a minute. If there's anybody here that wants to make a quick comment, you're welcome to do that. Unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I was just of the opinion that the decision makings are of different types of decisions which we take, our mind takes. Some are just logical decisions, which we feel that they can be taken even by robots, or they are just cause and effect decisions. And that is, we take it every minute, just like driving, and the self-driven cars also take the same type of decisions. And then there are decisions which affect our emotions, life, interrelationships, all those types of decisions. And then the third type of decisions which affect others. Just like if you are a corporate head, how you affect the other's life and other people in it. Maybe we can talk something about that also. Thank you.
We have a at my house here today. Did you hear that? Everything he was saying, Ratanjit?
Yes.
Okay. I lost part of what he had said. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to repeat his question as he had asked.
So he's saying that the decision made, some are logical decisions, some like driving a car, and then there are just.
All right, we are back on Stress-Free Living. Ray Samich with you and Ratanjit Sandhi, talking with our different people here that are joining us on our Zoom call, and we would like to welcome you to always be a part of that. Usually we don't have any technical issues, so we're able to fully communicate with you during the breaks, and we love doing that. If you can get that Zoom link, we will be happy to send it to you on a regular basis. You can communicate with Ratanjit or myself, but you also can get that on our website on the Stress-Free Living page. And of course, you can also just listen if you'd like to through wintradio.com. And whether you have a smart speaker in your house or whether you just want to pull it up on your phone or your computer, you can listen to us anywhere in the world. We also do have everything out on the YouTube channel, or Stress-Free Living Radio YouTube channel, and you can watch or listen to this show and every show in its entirety 24/7 on demand. Ratanjit, we are talking today and talked there a little bit during the break about decisions and making decisions matter in our life. You had kind of brought up a particular angle just let's go to what one of our Zoom visitors had mentioned to us, one of our special guests there, on the logic that goes into the decision-making process, and again, kind of on an autopilot basis, that we quickly make an assessment of what to do and how to do it, and then we proceed using logic, but not really using our emotional part of our brain, or our part that says, does this add value? It's more about a logical decision based on our human factors, our human senses. Would you agree?
Yeah, see, when we make a simple decision, if I'm coming to your home and the decision to ring the bell is an automatic decision. When I'm sitting there, coming to your home, driving a car is automatic, it's a mechanical decision. But behind each of those decisions, there is another decision which guides that mechanical decision, because I want to see you, and then I have an agenda to talk to you, and then what guides my agenda is, again, I have a purpose of fulfilling a need within me. So ultimately, there are so many mechanical decisions which are subservient to a master decision, ultimately. So if we are making the right master decision, then everything falls into place. Now, I have a choice whether I call you on the telephone, I can talk to you, or I can have a Skype conversation with you, or I can personally go and see you, or I can invite you for lunch or dinner. So there are several ways to have a conversation with you. Again, depends on my agenda. If I want to really have you do something for me, I might invite you for dinner. So pick up the tab on the dinner so that you are a little bit more obliged. So ultimately, the agenda behind all these decisions is making all these subservient decisions. If I want to simply, I have a great relationship with you, I want you to do something simple for me, I will simply call you and say, Ray, can you do this for me? So all these decisions, and then my decision also affect others. If I am a boss in a company, or I'm an employee in a company, my decisions are going to be based on my initial agenda. Now, if I'm a boss, I want to increase the sale of the company because I'm going to get a higher bonus. So, but we have to go behind ultimately what the purpose of all these decisions is. Ultimately, all our decisions are made by what is in it for me. And if they are all reflecting the outcome, all my decision is when I meet somebody, stranger, and somebody introduces me that stranger, I'm going to wait to hear what his title is, what his power base is, whether I can utilize that power base, whether I can utilize the relationship. I'm going to either smile and greet him warmly, or I will just complete the formality of shaking hand without smile. So all this, the decision to smile and be warm is directed by my inner feeling of whether I'm going to get any benefit from this. So if you summarize, all our decisions are made basically what is in it for me.
You're absolutely right, I think. But I want to expound on it because there's another level that we take it to. As we get more advanced in life, as we start growing up and realizing the importance of the decisions that we make, now we even go to school, let's call it, And by going to school, it could mean going out and doing research, reading books, going on the internet, whatever it might be, because now we're starting to say, all right, since those decisions are important, I want to make the best ones I can. So how do I win friends and influence people? How do I get what I want? And we start even taking courses. We pay dollars, big dollars, to understand what works in sales, because ultimately everything is selling, whether we're selling ideas or whether we're selling relationships or whether we're selling a product or a service, everything is a sale. So now what sales techniques works? What sales tricks work? How do I reach people emotionally? How do I reach them so I get what I want? So it really does become almost a game. It almost becomes a pseudo relationship building, because it'd be one thing if I says, Ratanjit, let's go to dinner. We have no agenda. I just want to be with you. I just want to talk with you. I just want to have a couple of hours of your time to see how you're doing. But that's not normally how we set those dinners up. Usually, well, if I get together with him, I can talk about this and we can get this and we can accomplish this. We have an agenda. It seems that latter approach is really the way we're running our lives. We really constantly do have an agenda, so that every phone call we make, every visit we make, every decision we make does seem to have an agenda attached, and it's not a genuine compassion agenda. It's a, as you said, what's in it for me agenda.
See, people are going to take a issue at that. They say, Ratanjit, hold on. I do volunteer work. In this country, there is worth $170 billion worth of hours. If you convert hours given to volunteer work, that amounts to that many dollars. So thousands and thousands and thousands of people do voluntary work. They don't get paid. They work at Red Cross, they work at all these. So they say, this is selfless, right? But ultimately, it makes you want to somehow do good to feel good. And so this thing again boils down to selfishness. And although a lot of times we do things for strangers, if a stranger comes in my way and they're the older person and they're trying to cross the road, and incentive within me may come and make a decision to help that person cross the road. But I feel better about that within myself. So there is something in us which gets satisfied by doing these selfless things. But if you realize that these selfless things are food for our soul, these selfless decisions which we make are basically adding more satisfaction to myself. If I help somebody, there's a person who called me and said, Ratanjit, I'm a doctor, and a patient called me, and that patient is unable to come to my office. And I took upon myself to go to the patient home to check it out and give him medicine and help him. So I asked this question to my friend. I said, did that patient help you or did you help him? Because by helping the patient, my doctor friend felt better about himself. So he should actually be thankful to the patient, which gave him this opportunity to feel higher about himself. So that is the fundamental thing. When once we begin to realize that, our life dramatically changes, our decision making dramatically changes. And I asked just before the break questions, how did we get here, Ray? How did we get in the society of what is in it for me? And all that started with lies after lies which were told to us when we came on this earth. Well-meaning parents, well-meaning society told us lies.
Well, go ahead. You have me intrigued. What are the lies that we were told?
Fundamentally, when a child comes on this earth, it's told, they say, look, this is your name. That is a lie. And look, this is yours. This is not yours. This is his or her. You are a separate entity. You are a male. You are a female. So those are partial truths. They are not, a partial truth is a lie. The true fact is not given to us. The truth is that we are all one, because we are placed in this human body, and what brings life in me and you is exactly the same. That is the reality nobody gives us. And this human body is like a machine, well-designed machine, which is allowing us to experience life. Now, we can experience life in just satisfying the need of the five senses of the body. We can spend all our life gaining money, having a better place, and feeling higher about me than others. Or I can realize that the other person is exactly the same as me, and what enlivens me enlivens the other person. So my purpose, my decision-making changes. My purpose of life becomes to serve the divine force which enlivens me and enlivens everyone else. So then I am only focused to make a difference to whoever I come across. I do not judge them. I do not question what am I going to gain from them, because I begin to realize that my ultimate joy, my feeling great about myself, comes from helping somebody, adding the highest value to somebody. And that mission, if you follow, actually ends up bringing success to your knees, success to your feet. Because if you become a value-adding entity, you are a better employee, you are a better brother, you are a better spouse, you are a better friend, you are a better citizen, because your purpose is not what is in it for me. Your purpose is what is good for the society, what is good for everybody else. So all our decisions then automatically fall into place. Otherwise, we end up dividing and destroying and compromising the society by thinking in the human body mode, basically guided and empowered by our fear, our insecurity, our greed, and our ego.
Ratanjit, we need to take another break here, a second break. We'll come back and wrap this topic up. But I'm going to leave a thought for you to think about, and I'm going to come back with this question. If we are, in fact, all part of one, and so the billions of people that live in this earth right now on this planet, we're all connected, we're all one. Doesn't that lessen the importance of every decision I make? This is a question to answer on the other side of the break. So if I don't make a decision that's right at the time, there's billions of other people connected to the same body that could make it. That could, it seems like the thought process of me not being myself actually minimizes the value of every decision that I make to that bigger one. Because I'm almost an insignificant micro dot compared to the universe, compared to the oneness of the world. So think about that for a second. It to me, on the surface, it almost says, now my decisions don't matter as much because I'm just this one little microscopic dot compared to the oneness of the world and the universe. So what power does that one decision that I make really have on the greater one? Think about that one. We'll come back and I want to give you about 2 minutes to think about that question and give us an answer. We are on Stress-Free Living, talking about making decisions and do they matter? And we'll find out for sure, one way or the other, on the other side of this break. We'll be right back. Okay, we have just a minute or two. If there's anybody that would like to open up their mic and ask your question, we'll try to get it in. I'll try not to lose my internet connection this time. Technical challenges today. All right, looks like we're on our own here, Ratanjit. They want us to continue to listen, but not to give us their input, which is just fine. We love you any way that you want to do it.
They're probably mad at me because I call everybody a liar.
I don't think so. I didn't hear you call me a liar, did you? You did say that we are told lies all the time since we are babies. That's true. You called my parents liars. That's why I'm upset with you. Yeah. My mommy was not a liar.
But you told lies to your children too.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, now you put it in that perspective. I did tell them their name, and I did tell them that they were a boy or a girl. I did. Although we have subsequently, since I've known you, told them that that's their body and not their real you.
But it took me so much hard time to, when both of our sons worked for me, I was trying to rewire them.
Oh, you had to correct all my bad years of parenting, huh? All right. Looks like we have we've rearranged people here a little bit. I hope we didn't lose anybody. We appreciate everybody working through us. Again, I really do apologize for the problems today. Could not have happened at a worse time, just as we're starting. I looked, my screen was blank. We are back on Stress-Free Living. Ray Samich, Ratanjit Sandhi with you, talking with our Zoom audience, talking with our radio audience throughout Northeast Ohio and our global audience. Or perhaps you are listening or watching this weeks, months, or years after we have recorded this program in our archives. However you are listening, we hope it's truly adding value to your life and perhaps allowing you to think about something that we take for granted. And that's really the key point. So many of our decisions are made on autopilot, made based on our habits, made without thought about the consequences. There's certainly some big movies that have been successful. The big one over Christmas time, Jimmy Stewart classic that the name escapes me right now, but those that talk about what would happen if we made a different decision, if we didn't exist. It's a Wonderful Life. That's the name of that one. In particular, where the value of one person and how that is multiplied many, many times over if a person didn't exist or if a person made a decision in a certain way. So that is, the approach that we usually hear. Every decision does matter. Every person does matter. Every life does matter. But when you talked about, Ratanjit, the oneness, now you could come back and say, well, then somebody else will pick up the slack. If I'm not the one that does this, because we're all part of the bigger one, if I'm not the one that decides to do this, somebody else can. So that was the question I posed just before we went to the break.
Well, here's the thing, that that question is that if you are trying to make this world as a better place, and it says everybody else should do that, why should I do that, right? Or how can I do that?
I mean, I don't have to worry about it because I'm part of one, and in the bigger one, there's billions of people that can do it. Why is it so important that I make the right call?
Ultimately, it is not about making the world a better place, Ray. It is all about ultimately becoming truly selfish. We don't even know how to become selfish. The best way to be selfish is the most enjoyable feeling my soul gets is the ultimate in selfishness. But that feeling only is available to me if we serve the universe. If I serve selflessly another person or serve the divine power present in everyone else. I don't do that to help them. I do that to help myself. That is what I'm saying. So our mindset is about helping everyone else. But that helping everyone else comes from our feeling of feeding our ego. Once we realize that when I help somebody, it makes me feel better about myself. So once you realize that, then the whole life falls into place. Otherwise, you end up following the same paradigm that I'm better because I'm helping others.
All right. So now you have, with only a few minutes left, you've totally confused me, Ratanjit. Totally confused me. Because for the longest time we talked about that we're making decisions based on what's in it for me.
Right.
Okay. And so we make decisions very oriented to my greed and my insecurities and my selfishness and all these other kind of things. And I bought into that because you're right, we do. And now you're saying that, but when we also evolve from that and we say, how can I do most for others? Okay. And now I'm going to make a decision because I'm going to try to make it for others' benefits. You're also telling me that that's not the way to do it. You're telling me that is, I don't know what the words you just used that I'm searching for, but you just came across and saying that if we do that, that's also not the right approach. So what is the right approach? If I'm not doing it for me and I'm not doing it for others, why am I doing it?
Now here, Ray, we need to distinguish. We are in this human body. So who are we? We are the power which enlivens the human body. So in that sense, so if you are not aware of that fact, you are going to operate in the human body mode. And human body basically is all driven by insecurity, fear, greed, and ego. So all your decisions are made on that basis. But if you make the decision based on the power which enlivens you, then you basically become unconditional value adding entity. You basically are designed to serve that power present in everyone else. On one side of the fence, you experience pleasure because you are satisfying five senses. And that pleasure is limited and short lived. Just like if you love food, you can only eat so much. After that, it becomes painful if you eat excess. The other side is that when you satisfy the desire of your soul, the power which enlivens you, it gives you joy, which is unlimited. You can experience as much joy as you want, but the joy is a result only of making a difference to others. So that is the key difference.
Ratanjit, we have such great callers and listeners and Zoom guests. I have to share this from Kim because she put this in the chat here. I give my life when I give it away. I am a mirror that others get to look into to see their own greatness. By being willing to serve this way, I make the world more beautiful.
Yes.
What do you think of those words?
Well, it's beautiful. Again, when I enjoy the smile on your face. I enjoy, and if I am able to bring smile on your face, it makes me feel happy. It makes me feel joy-filled. So then I should be grateful to you because your smile has made me feel better about myself. So ultimately, all our decisions, if I focus on only how can I add value, how can I make a difference, rather than anything else, not worrying about whether I get recognition, whether somebody is smiling back at me, somebody is giving me what I have given to them, then I am making my decision unconditionally just to make my soul feel fulfilled. Otherwise, I spend my entire life feeling empty. The only way to fulfill myself is to unconditionally add value, unconditionally serve. You're not looking for rewards or trophies. That act itself is giving you inner gratefulness, inner satisfaction, inner joy. And you remain completely fulfilled.
That word unconditionally is so critical in this because when I just asked my last question, when I said how confused I was, it seems that whether I'm doing it, what's in it for me, or if I'm doing it on the surface because I'm trying to add value to others, there still very often is a condition that goes along with that approach. Even if I don't think it's for me, like you mentioned, all the millions of volunteers in the world, if there still is an agenda, if there still are conditions and I'm adding value to others, it ultimately still is what's in it for me.
Yes.
So that word unconditional, I mean, anybody who's in a loving relationship knows how important that word is because it's easy to love somebody who's when everything is good, when they do everything you want them to do and they look great and they sound great and they're acting great, it's easy to love them. But the unconditional means, okay, when things go wrong, is there still love there? And, you know, I think that really is the strongest point. Our decisions have to be made unconditionally.
Unconditionally. See, loneliness is a big issue today in today's society. Loneliness is never because of the absence of loved one around you. It is always the absence of love present within you.
Wow. We're going to end on that. We're going to repeat that one more time. Loneliness, as big a problem as that is, maybe more than ever, is not because of the absence of love around you. It's because of the absence of love within you.
Yes.
What a beautiful final thought here on our discussion about, do decisions matter? The decision to have the love within us may be the biggest decision of all. Ratanjit, thank you so much for sharing your love, your thoughts, your wisdom with us again. And thank you to all of our audience, our Zoom, internet, YouTube, radio, however you're listening. Thank you. We do appreciate you being there. We hope that we've added value to your life. Remember, folks, we're all playing the same game. Have a wonderful day.